Hey guys, on today's show, I want to address another viewer question about what basic tools should a new ham have. That's going to be right here, right now on Ham Radio for Non-Techies. Welcome back to Ham Radio for Non-Techies, guys. My name is Scott. My call sign is KI5MPL, and I run the Ham Radio for Non-Techies channel, where we try to simplify the ham radio hobby to get you to study for and pass your exams and get you to be a licensed operator as quickly as possible so you can enjoy this hobby as much as we do. If you're new here, give me a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe down below. Click the little bell and be notified when I do new videos. So today's topic is really, really cool. It's something I don't think I've covered. I mean, I've covered this in similar things like, basic tools, like as far as like part of gifts and things, but I've never covered a topic like this from a viewer. So let's pop over to the desktop real quick and see what they say. So my viewer says, would you consider making a video or an article on basic or minimal tools for hams? I've just recently purchased my first rig and I'm new to ham radio. Mark. Well, Mark, I want to first, welcome you to the hobby. And glad you're getting into ham radio, as so many of us have gotten into this hobby and really, really enjoy it. I think you'll find there's so much stuff you can do in this that'll make your life it'll enhance your life. So what I've done is I've come up with a little presentation, and I'm going to be popping back and forth between a few things here. But I did a presentation on this. I wanted to kind of show you guys basic tools that I would say if you just get your technician license, there's not a whole lot you really need. There's some optional things you can have based on your interest in ham radio at that time. But understand also, as a technician, you're kind of limited on what you're able to do in ham radio to a point. There's so much more when you bump up to general. General opens up the HF world, which opens up all new kinds of options as far as radios and antennas and more stuff. You have some HF privileges as a tech, but they're kind of limited. And I wanted to kind of show you guys something here. If you go to the website, guys, always remember, check out hamradiofornontechies.com. That is a great site that I spent countless hours. I'm constantly adding to it. I actually added a page from yesterday's show about making emergency contacts out in the middle of nowhere with a ham radio and how to do it. So a couple of you gave me some really killer suggestions, so I added those to that page. But going back to the website again, if you go to the front page and go under Ham Radio 101, and down here it says ham frequencies by license, what I've done is I've made a chart, and I think this is a whole lot easier to interpret than some of the charts that they have that are put out by the ARRL, and I've seen other people put out different charts. This one tells you go on the very top. If you're a technician, then this first column is everything you have privileges in ham radio. So starting at the bottom here, was at 23 centimeters, 33 centimeters, 70 centimeters, go up to 2 meters. You have phone privileges there, and CW. I have CW, which is Morse code. And of course, phone or voice is your phone or voice privileges, talking into your mic. And you have privileges on 6 meters. You have privileges on 10 meters. You have some CW privileges on 15 meters, sorry. As well as 40 meters. You have some CW privileges, and you have privileges on 80 and 75 meters. That is determined, obviously, as to whether you want to learn CW. Some people have no interest in it. I personally find it fascinating and a lot of fun to do. We'll get into that later on. But if you move over to the general section here, you now have all this extra stuff you can do. You have more phone privileges expanded on different bands. So utilize the website. I built this site for you guys, not for me. I built this for you. So I try to make it a one-stop resource for everything ham radio, so you guys are able to go in there and find the information that you need. So with that, guys, check out the website. There's so much stuff on there, and I think it'll benefit you greatly. So I want to pop back over here. I want to get this all set up here, and we're going to run through, and this shouldn't take too long. I have a couple little things, might veer off a little bit, but I got a little presentation for you. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, must-have tools for new hams. I got our little tool girl there. If you guys remember, I forgot what the name of the show was now, but I remember her. That ought to tell you something, right? Okay, so Tools for new technicians. If you're being a newly licensed tech, you may not have as large of a need for a wide variety of tools. However, there are some recommendations for tools you should probably have in your arsenal. Obviously, if you're gonna get in the ham radio, and I don't want to rag on people that stick with technician, but you are limited in what you can do in technician. You can still build some antennas and stuff, but you're just limited on what you can do in bands and things like that. So that really enhances more when you upgrade to general. And you can stop at general and be perfectly happy the rest of your life. There's plenty of people out there to stop at general and they're fine. But they now have HF privileges and the full spectrum of HF privileges, as well as, not only doing phone and voice, but doing CW. They have all the bands available and open to them, and they can just utilize it. So anyway, going back to this, as a technician, you probably should have a soldering iron. With a soldering iron, of course, that means you can be probably assembling stuff with wires and soldering different parts and things. So you're going to need a good pair of wire snips, a good pair of crimpers, and a good pair of wire strippers. So I would suggest picking up those. And by the way, all this stuff is down below. I'll show you how to look for it here in a minute. I've got an Amazon store, and I make a little commission off it, helps support the channel. I've got all the tools here. Every tool that's listed in my Amazon store is something I personally own and condone. So if I recommend it to you, it's because I've already put it through the paces. It's past my standards, which are quite high. I don't want to buy garbage. I want to buy the right thing the first time. Buy once, cry once is my motto, and I try to instill that in you guys here. Anyway, so you want those items there. You also want to get a good screwdriver set. Also, you can also think about this. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to go back to my main cam. If you want to have just a cool little setup, these iFixit kits are super inexpensive, maybe 15 bucks, and you get all kinds of different specialty heads on these things for different kinds of nuts and bolts and all kinds of things. And it's a fantastic little thing you can keep in your pack, carry it around. It's very, very, very convenient to carry around. So if you have that, in addition to having the screwdrivers I'm showing you here, I think you'd be good to go. The next thing is going to be wire connectors, spade connectors, ring connectors, all these different kinds of connectors. You get a little box of those things like you see in the picture here. Again, these links are all down below. And just have those. You want to have them around. You never know when you're going to have to repair something, or you might decide you want to go on a little tangent and build something cool and new. You've got this little kit ready to go. You match up to the size wire you need, crimp, solder, and you're done. The next big thing, and I cannot emphasize this enough, I don't care if you're a technician, if you're a general or an extra, you want to make sure you have tons upon tons upon tons of adapters. You can never have enough adapters. If anybody says how many adapters you have to say back to them, I don't understand the question. I have a small child full of adapters. So try to keep some adapters on hand. I've got a bunch of them here that I keep with me at all times. And I have right angle adapters. I have BNC to PL259, BNC to SO239, just all kinds of different things, because you never know what you're going to need out in the field until you need it and then don't have it. So always have adapters ready to go. Another really cool thing here is this wire. And I grabbed whatever wire picture I could find here, but you want to have various types of wire and different gauges. I really, really enjoy the silicone wire because it is so flexible, has no memory to it. It's just easy to work with, and it seems to be just fine. I've got links to that as well. Next up is going to be an antenna analyzer. It doesn't necessarily have to be a rig expert. I mean, the one that's listed here is over $550. You can go with a Nano VNA. They're about under $100. You can get some of the MFJ products. They've got some different ones. The rig expert, in my opinion, is just the best that there is. And that's one of the, it's the only analyzer I ever bought. I've looked at some of the other ones out there. I've looked at some of the MFJs. I've had friends who've had MFJs. They've had problems with them, and they get them replaced and they still have problems with them. The Nano VNA to me is cool, inexpensive, very portable, but you have to have a whole bunch of adapters to bring it from SMA up to, say, PL259 or SO239. And it can be a little bit of a learning curve to learn how to read it, because it does a lot of cool little, has a lot of cool little features. But if you really want to learn about the Nano VNA, go check out the Smoking Apes channel. He's got a ton of videos on how to use the Nano VNA. I'm sure Ham Radio Crash Course might have them as well. It's not my forte. It's too small. My eyesight sucks too bad at that close of a range to deal with something that small. So I like the Rig Expert with a nice larger screen that's very easy to read in multiple lighting situations. Next up is something I had a hard time with. I had to come to grips with it because as a carpenter and a woodworker, I've got tons upon tons of tape measures, and all my tape measures are in the standard American format. And I had a really hard time dealing with metric because I just don't like the metric system. But a cold, hard fact is, if you're going to be in ham radio, you might as well just accept it now. The metric system's here to stay. And when it comes to ham radio, the metric system is going to be a heck of a lot easier for you to navigate through to figure out measurements for wires and other things when you're trying to build out antennas or do other projects in ham radio. So I do suggest picking up a metric tape measure. I've got a small one like you see here, and I've also got a large one. It's like a 150 meter big roll-up one that I got on Amazon for like 20 bucks or something. Last and final thing, you want coax. Don't be buying cheap crap coax on eBay and Amazon. I highly suggest going to ABR Industries. That's abrind.com. They're friends of mine. They're here in Houston, just north of me, about 10 miles. They will custom make you any coax you want, any size, thickness, whatever connectors you want it. They'll even personalize the wrapping on it with your call signs so you don't get yours confused with somebody else. You're out with a bunch of people and doing ham radio stuff. It's a perfect one-stop place. Go get some excellent quality coax that's made right here. So that's my basic suggestions for a new technician. Now, aside from physical tools, I wanted to touch on software and references. And all these links will be down below in the video. Recommended software you should have would include RT Systems program, or RT Systems to program your radio, HT Mobile, and that's rtsystemsinc.com. RT Systems has great software. You usually buy it at like HRO or Gigaparts or someplace like that. You have a little cable for it, and it plugs into your HT. You plug your HT then into your computer using the RT Systems to program your radio. Some radios out there, and this goes to the next part, I have Chirp listed here. Chirp's great for some radios, but Chirp is not compatible with other HTs. So you need to make sure you're not plugging in your radio into your computer and using Chirp and you end up bricking your freaking radio because it wasn't compatible with Chirp. So kind of just do your due diligence, ask around. If you talk to somebody, if you buy an HT from somebody, you know, a retailer, say, hey, does this work with Chirp or does this work with RT Systems or is it some other kind of a programming software you recommend? And let them recommend something to you. Chirp might be just fine. If that's the case, you can use that and you're great. You're good to go. It's free. It's open source software. Websites you should reference. We've talked about this before. The VHF propagation map, aprs.menolink.org. Cool little live map. When you bring it up, it brings up a map of the United States. You can go anywhere in the world where you are. You bring it, you know, drag the map to where you are, and it will show you the current propagation conditions on VHF, UHF, or VHF, I guess it is, in your area. Really cool link to have. You should bookmark these links and have them always at the ready whenever you want to go do some ham radio stuff, or you want to do some research. Next thing up is going to be repeater book. We've talked about that before. I got a whole video on repeater book on how to find repeaters in the area and then export that file to your programming software so you can program your radio with all the repeaters you want, and you can customize it with names and city names, whatever you want to do with that. That way you can just sit there and turn your VFO knob on your HT and get to the different repeaters depending on where you are, what you want to who you want to talk to. The last two here, if you're going to get into building antennas, if you're going to build J-poles or dipoles, you're going to want a calculator to let you know how long parts need to be to construct these different antennas. So if you're building a J-pole, I've got a J-pole calculator right here. It's a great little resource, and you just plug in. It's very easy to follow. You put the frequency you want. You hit the button. It tells you what lengths things need to be, and you're ready to go. And you just go back and test, which goes back to using your antenna analyzer to make sure everything's kosher. The last one's a dipole calculator. Same thing. You're going to build a dipole instead. You want to know the length of your wires for a dipole on particular frequencies. This dipole calculator will allow you to do that, and it's also free to use and it's very simple to use. Moving on. So now you're upgraded to general. Okay, well, first, congrats for upgrading to general. You now have a whole new world of ham radio that's unbelievable that's going to open up to you now. The bad news is, welcome to more spending. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there because, you know, it's cool to upgrade to general or extra and things like that, and it's cool to be able to have access to HF, but then you have this whole new world of spending you're going to do. So say bye-bye to the bank account. So your tools are going to be included here well, we're going to include tools I previously talked about. In addition, we're going to add these tools. So this would be, again, like I talked the other day about power poles. Somebody mentioned that I talked about power poles to you guys and didn't explain what they were. Power poles are just a way to connect devices that use DC power to one another. So if you want to connect a battery to your radio, you want to connect, a meter to your battery to your radio, the power pole connectors are an easy way to snap them in and they're done. So power poles, definitely a killer thing to have. Once you learn how to make them, you'll never go back. Next is going to be if you're going to be getting into making antennas. You're going to need magnet wire. You're going to need toroids. You're going to need capacitors, various capacitors for different things based on how you want to build your antenna. Of course, the yellow wire here is from Soda Beams. That's the best picture I could find. Sorry about that. They take lousy pictures of their stuff, but their wire's really, really good. If you're going to build out an end-fed half wave or a random wire antenna, the Soda Beams wire's great. Was it 300? I think it's 300 feet for like $17 shipped to your door. And that's from England. Yeah, not bad. Always a good multimeter. Don't cheap out on a multimeter. Get a decent one. I'm not saying go out and spend $250, $300 on a multimeter, but get a decent one that's going to have the stuff you need to be able to check your ohms, check resistance, things like that. And then, be sure to learn how to use it. Look up online, whatever particular model you purchase, there's most likely a video on how to use it. They all come with instruction manuals. If you're brand new to ham radio and don't understand anything about electronics or anything I just talked about, YouTube is going to be your way to learn this stuff. That's how I did it. Again, if you're going to be going out and as a general, you might be going out and maybe doing parks on the air, summits on the air. You're going to need some kind of a pole. Now, I use the Soda Beams 7-meter pole here, but I use personally, I use Spider Beams. I got a Spider Beams 12-meter pole, and I also have my DX Commander Expedition pole, which you can buy the pole by itself, but I highly suggest you're going to get you want a cool antenna, go grab the DX Commander Expedition antenna and bring that out with you to set things up. But say there's a day you want to go out and do POTA and you don't want to set that whole thing up, which takes a whopping 15 minutes or less. You can just grab your end-fed halfway, put the wire on the end of that pole, lean it into a tree, and you're on the air. Next tool I would recommend would be a decent tablet and a wireless or Bluetooth keyboard. That's my personal preference. Some people like to have I know Josh just did a video from Ham Radio Crash Course about this cool little $60 laptop wonder. There's big division lines that some people like them, some people absolutely hate them. Hey, whatever floats your boat. My way, I like my Samsung 10-inch tablet because I get the higher resolution, which makes my Hammers app look really, really good when I'm doing parks on the air. And I've got this cool little fold-up Bluetooth keyboard, probably about $15, $20 on Amazon. That packs away in my pack, keeps everything nice and small, portable, works every time, works for hours on it. I've never actually killed that keyboard yet, being out doing parks on the air. So moving on. Obviously a power source, Bio-NO batteries. They are the best. Again, buy once, cry once. That battery will last a long, long time, 5-6 years. And that's if you charged it up. And if you went outside and used it every day and drained it and came back home and charged up every day, you can do that every time for about, what, 2,400 charges or something? Like something ridiculous. It's a crazy lifetime on those. But you want to have a good power supply that's not going to give you problems. And they're very small, lightweight. They offer tons of options, anywhere from 3 amp hours up to like, what, 150 amp hours or 200 amp. That might be bigger. You can get anything you want. But they got really good stuff. They're quality product. I highly recommend them. I can't say enough good things about Bio-NO batteries. And I think that's bionopower.com. Again, links will be down in the description. Next thing is going to be more about antenna stuff. If you decide not to go by the way of buying a fiberglass pole, you might want to get some kind of arborist line, a little weight bag full of lead shot or something like that. That way you can take it and throw it up into a tree and then hoist your wires up that way. Tent stakes, obviously, to guy out your pole if you're going to if you have the pole in the ground, or to guy out, or not guy out, but actually pin down some of your antenna stuff. You have antenna wires, things out there. And of course, some 550 cord, which is my preferred cordage for doing any kind of work with ham radio stuff out in the field. Now, the one thing I left off is like these little things called S-beaners. I don't have one in my, I don't think I've got one on my shack here. No, I do not. Anyway, look up S-beaners. They're in my Amazon store. Buy a 10-pack of them, drill a hole through the center of them, and you can actually use those to mount those onto your fiberglass poles. Makes your life a lot easier, and it also provides a plastic kind of insulator between like maybe your antenna wire and something you had the antenna wire connected to, like one of these metal stakes. You wouldn't want that interfering, so you can run a little piece of cord out attached to the S-beaner. S-beaner on the other side of your S-beaner is attached to your antenna wire and running up to your antenna. So you got a lot of options there. So next thing is software and references for generals. Everything we talked about before, and we're going to add some more. If you're going to be doing parks on the air or summits on the air, otherwise known as POTA or SOTA, etc., you want to use Hammers. Hammers is the best app out there that I've found. It allows you, it has all kinds of templates that they make for you. They have stuff for field day in there. They have stuff for SOTA, POTA. They have stuff for just doing contests. It has a live map. There's options, tabs at the bottom where when you're filling out the Hammers thing while you're doing, like, say, parks on the air, for instance, and you're filling out a QSO you just made with somebody. Down below, it has a list of these people you've contacted. Well, the next tab over is a live map that when you click that, it opens up a map and shows you your location and everybody around the world that you've reached out to, and has little, it's a cool map. If you haven't seen it before, go look up Hammers. It's pretty awesome. Obviously, for using these things, you want to go to parksontheair.com or Summits on the Air, which is www.sota.org.uk. And those are places where you can find out about parks on the air and summits on the air, as well as find people who are out there doing that stuff if you want to be a hunter, or you can spot yourself so people can come find you and you can be an activator. Another thing here is a list of HF nets. And this is one of the ones I found. It's a PDF file, but it has live links in it. And it's kind of cool because it goes through all the bands and shows you what nets are on any particular day or time and what band that they're on. You can click on the link to the right of it on the PDF. And I think I've got it brought up here. We'll show it to you here in a minute. And it allows you to get information on that net and see if it's something you might want to be involved with and be a part of. Let's see. Next thing on the list is going to be Thingiverse. If you're going to be building antennas and you want to find a really cool resource for free stuff, first off, you're going to need a 3D printer. And they're pretty cheap now. They've gotten sub $400 for a really, really good 3D printer that can print anything you want. But Thingiverse.com is the place to go. That's where I get a lot of my files from. And if I can't find files from there, I go to a place called Tinkercad, which is basically a 3D software. It's on your browser. It's not as detailed as, say, a dedicated 3D software you would purchase. But for making simple things like wire winders and little parts and things for ham radio stuff, it's got enough there. There's a learning curve to it. If you want to learn how to use it, again, consult YouTube or find somebody who has a decent tutorial out there and learn this stuff. I mean, I can't think in 3D, and I've been making wire winders and all kinds of really weird little things for ham radio for quite some time now. And it's saved me time. It's saved me money. And I'm actually printing up some really cool things now that I'm going to incorporate in some of my new projects. So, and the final thing here, we talked about this earlier. This is more for like the technicians. If you are a licensed ham operator, and I'm not going to get on a whole tangent about this, but if you're a licensed ham radio operator and you're not learning CW, you're literally only utilizing half of your license privileges. So learning Morse code allows you to utilize your license to its fullest extent. So a couple things here, the G4FON Morse code trainer, it's a free program. You download to your PC, you fire it up, and it has all kinds of stuff in there. You set it the way, set it for the Koch method, which you'll learn about if you decide to go into this. And it'll run you through different scenarios where it'll call out random letters and numbers and things that will allow you to learn Morse code. The next one is CW Player. I'm going to show you screenshots of both of these. CW Player is another thing. You can actually type in your own stuff you want to put in there, as well as the other one. I think G4FON will do that too. But it has different ways that allow you to train and learn how to use, or how to learn Morse code. An app for your phone, Morse Machine. I've got it on my phone. I'm just sitting around doing nothing. There's nothing going on. I'll pop that up there and sit there and practice it. It calls out letters, or it calls out Morse code, Morse codes, and you tap the accompanying letter to that, and you learn as you go along. Kind of fun. 99 cents one time. The final way, and probably the best way if you want to learn Morse code, I'm going to highly recommend joining the Long Island CW Club. $90 for a lifetime membership, 40+ classes a week on Zoom. Every single level is available throughout the week. Whether you're brand new and know nothing about nothing, can't even spell Morse code, to people who can do 20 words a minute and you just want to brush up. They have classes for everybody and everything. And that $90 is well worth every penny. Because even if you drop off like I did, I started Morse code about this time last year. And it's somewhere just after Christmas of last year or the beginning of this year, I just quit doing it. I had life got in the way. So I quit. And now I can go back in because I still got my, I still have my access to the Zoom meetings with my membership, and I can go back in there now and go back and relearn. And finally, guys, don't forget, I keep saying, I'm beating a dead horse here, hamradiofornontechies.com. This site was built for you, only you. So let me get out of here. I think we're done with the presentation. So I wanted to show you that I talked about the HFnet list. This is that list here. So it shows you what weekday the net is on, the net name, the frequency they're on, what band, what time they come in. And then here's links. These are all live links you can click on that will allow you to get more information on these particular nets. And there's just tons of them. So no matter where you are, you should be able to find a net close by, or maybe, you know, tap in one of these HF nets and check out what they got going on. I don't know how current this is, but it's definitely a cool resource to have. Going back to the Morse code thing one more time, and I promise I'll shut up about it. The G4FON, this is the interface, what it looks like. Now, unfortunately, the guy who created this has passed away, I think as of last year. I think he passed away. So it is still available on the website, and I will actually download a copy of this and maybe have it available on the Ham Radio for Non-Techies, just in case this site goes down. That way you guys never have to worry about not having a copy of it. There's no more revisions coming out that I know of, but this allows you to learn Morse code. It will test you and train you on predetermined lesson plans that it has built into it. It's a really, really cool tool to use. And if you join the Long Island CW Club, they're probably going to have you download this and use this, because this is one of the things they use in their training, unless they've got something new going on since then. The next one is a CW player, which here I want to show you. It's really cool because it does show you the letter, then it has the actual Morse code for it, then it shows you da or da. So it has the different things here you can look at and kind of learn. Now, I wouldn't go counting dits and das because that's the worst thing you can do. But if you just want to kind of get a head start and kind of see what you're getting into, this is a cool little program as well. And you can click on any of these things. It'll play those sounds for you so you can get your ear trained to what it sounds like. Okay, and the final thing is, like I said, I've talked about this before, and I keep getting questions from you guys sometimes about you watch one of my videos. I'm always talking about there's links down below. There's links down below. What I mean by that, this is one of my videos here. If you go down below here, in this description area, there's a More button. If you click on the More button, that opens up all the links that you'll see in any of my videos. If I'm referencing a product or a service or something like that, or a particular website, click that little More button. That opens that all up. Now, some of you more seasoned YouTube users may know this already and think, okay, why is he telling us this? Because there's people out there that do not know. And I want to make sure that I am crystal clear and make sure you guys fully grasp everything that I'm trying to tell you. I don't want you missing out on something because you can't figure out how to use YouTube. So if you want to find these links, click the More button, and there's all the links ready for you. All right. So I think that kind of wraps up my spiel there. Again, guys, check out the Amazon store. I've got a lot of stuff in there. I have it categorized by different things like ham radio tools, ham radio DIY, different little options and items for you to check out. And like I said, if you do purchase through those links, I make a small commission. It doesn't cost you a dime extra. It's all benefits for you. You get the item, and I get a little commission, so you help support the channel, and you're a rock star. So with that, I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, if you think I missed anything, name some other tools. Show me down in the comments. Email me. Let me find out what you got, what you think are some cool tools that somebody should have, some must-have items that maybe I missed. I don't always catch everything, but I try to be as thorough as possible, and hopefully I didn't put anybody to sleep. Anyway, guys, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Remember, if you're new here, if you've been here for a while, I'm still showing 67% of you that watch my videos aren't subscribers. What's up with that? Subscriptions are free today. Down below, hit the subscribe, click on the little bell, be notified when I do new videos. And we will see you guys next time. Until then, this is Ham Radio for Non-Techies, and we are clear.